The very powerful and the very stupid have one thing in common. They don't alter their view to fit the facts. They alter the facts to fit the view, which could be uncomfortable if you happen to be one of the facts that need altering. Hello and welcome back to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam. Today we're going to be talking about The Face of Evil by Chris Bolcher and directed by Bennett Roberts. This is the first story for both the writer and director. So this story is just full of unique. It is also the first appearance of a new companion, Leela. As you may remember in the last video, I stated that she is my favourite companion, and that is very true. And a lot of people might scoff at the idea that I put Leela on top of such other beloved companions like Jo Grant, Sarah Jane, and Tegan, Perry, Ace, Rose, Martha, Donna. But I'm sorry, there's just something I really enjoy about Leela. And it's hard to put into words because, yeah, maybe she has some more weaker moments compared to other companions. But I think when she is a great companion, she is she is my favourite companion. What else do I have to say about it? This is a 4-part adventure, and it was advertised originally as a start of a new season. So the original idea was that this was going to be the start of season 15, and season 14 was only going to be about 3 or 4 stories. So that's pretty funny to note. However, this was not generally considered in terms of the fan base. Most people, including in later references books and the DVDs and the Blu-rays, consider this to be a continuation of season 14. And in other cases, it's put together with the Brain of Morbius and the Pyramid of Mars. I don't know why. I get why them two are connected, but this story has very little influence in terms of its horror genre. But yeah, so let's delve right in. The Face of Evil. So the Doctor lands on an unnamed planet where he gets encountered by these group of people called the 17. They are like a savage, cavemen-like people. And first thing to note, the Doctor just speaks right to the camera, breaking the fourth wall. He speaks to the audience and says, "This isn't Hyde Park." My fan theory is that the Doctor was alone for so long after the departure of Sarah Jane that he's just basically gone mad. I mean, why not? And another thing as well is that the set of the jungle is just gorgeous. It reminds me a lot like a much more monochrome version of the jungle from Planet of Evil, which I've also praised as having a great set. So anything that reminds me of that is very, very cool. It's also interesting to note that in the original Unearthly Child, a lot of people didn't like the cavemen aspects, but here, including myself, the cavemen aspects are the better parts, where the Doctor slowly discovers about their culture and stuff, and that clearly there was a survey team there. There was a original astronauts that have come to this planet. Whether they are these people's captives or were they their descendants remains to be seen as of yet, as Doctor finds a lot of equipment in the tribes. And yeah, so let's backtrack a bit. The Doctor's going through the jungle and we get introduced to Leela. Now, the 17, they believe in the god, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Atorax. I can't remember how to pronounce. Oh my god, that's really embarrassing. A toxin. And basically these people believe that he's a god and that he's been captured by the evil one, who has a massive face in the statue. But we don't see that yet. And so Leela is banished because she doesn't believe in that person, the god. I'm just going to call it the god. And so Leela is banished. However, 2 people have been sent to kill her, and she's running away, and she trips over to the doctor's feet, to which he proclaims that he is the evil one. She recognizes him, that he is the evil one. And I love the doctor's reaction to that, which he says something along the lines of, well, no one's perfect, but that's a bit harsh, isn't it? Something like that. Very humorous moment, and I love the dynamic of these 2 characters. Now, one big thing that I really like about Leela, 2 words: Louise Jameson. The actress is just phenomenal. If it was any other actor, this caveman-like companion could be very irritating, very quick. But Louise Jameson gives her such a lovely, sweet tinkle in the eyes, but yet also being a savage, as she is a savage. And slowly with the doctor, she learns to basically be a better person. Maybe not like... The thing is about this story is that a lot of people criticize the story that it's the cliched British stereotype of savagery in which they're all like dumb idiots and they need a British gentleman to teach them right, which for those of you, which is a cliche that we in the 21st century have kind of forgotten, but back in the old days, especially around the 50s and the 40s, it was a very popular almost stereotype that the savage cannot really learn for themselves. They need a British male to thing. And I do see where their criticism is coming from with Leela. I mean, she is a savage and she does meet up with the doctor, a very British gentleman. And through the story, she starts to learn to be a little less like a savage. But to say the doctor is the only reason, I mean, she starts off the story denying the god, saying that he doesn't exist. So, yeah, and again, there's a lot of just great humorous moments, small little moments that make this 2 pairing just phenomenal. It's also important to note that Leela is actually named after a real life activist, female activist. Yeah, there you go. And so and when they're in the jungle, they learn that there's invisible phantoms that they can't see in light, but they can hear vibrations. And so the doctor sets a trap by setting an alarm clock and then slowly walking away. And when the doctor goes to the tribe, they believe he's the evil one, and so they plan to sacrifice him. And we get a lot of back and forward between out of the jungle and into this little camp. One of them can actually hear this god creature, and it speaks to him and it tells them that they need to raid the wall of great energy, which the doctor explains that it's a little piece of moment that's been taken out of time, a little second into the future, making a shield that's impenetrable to any force of just anything. However, there is a little gap through the wall, through the face of the evil one. And so Leela takes the doctor to the face of the evil one. And the doctor gets a nasty shock when he realizes he has been here before and the face is of the 4th Doctor. that's our cliffhanger for part 1. Very iconic, very well done. Not the 3 cliffhangers in this story. The middle one is a very weak one, but the first and third one are just stupidly iconic. So the Doctor climbs into his own mouth. There's a great moment in which Leela asks, how do we get in? Through the nose? And the Doctor's like, don't be ridiculous. It's through the teeth and into the throat. And so they go into that, and they see a creature go into a wall, and the Doctor and Leela go through the wall, and they get transported to the Tesh, a group of people that protect the wall. And from Leela's point of view, from the Savages' point of view, they work for the Evil One to protect the god, to imprison the god, sorry. But from the Tesh point of view, they believe that that the god, the same god, is actually wants to keep them pure and stuff, and so they're trying to keep the Savages out. And when the story goes into, a lot of people don't like this element. When the story goes into the Tesh Society, the story does kind of drag, and a lot of people don't really like the sex here. And I will admit, they are, not I wouldn't say they're bad, they're just a bit generic. We've seen this kind of white corridor set a few times at this point in the series. And so the Doctor talks with the Tesh, and he slowly starts piecing together what happened. He remembers actually now being on this planet before, and he was helping a survey team with their computer, and he thought there was a malfunction, so he put his brainwave patterns into it to try and fix it, only taking what he believed was the necessary stuff. But what he didn't realise is that the machine has become so powerful that it actually came alive, and when it was broken, it was actually in shock for being born. And so when the Doctor imprisoned his brain cells into the computer basically had a split personality disorder. I really love this concept. This story has a much more mytholic feel to it than any other Doctor Who story. I love how we never actually see the previous adventure. If this was a new series story, this would have been teased like hell, and we would have seen the first thing, and there'd be cliffhangers and teasers from different stories building up to this. But here it's just a one little off story, and that works so much better in my opinion. We don't need to see the Doctor previously there. We don't need to see the computer to go in mad. We don't need to see the civilizations slowly drifting off. We just need this story, and it works very well. It also leaves a lot to the imagination, and the power, just the mighty power of this computer almost gives it a godlike feeling. Like the story has been calling him a god throughout this adventure. And yeah, I just really love this element of the story. And when the Doctor does finally meet the computer, his face takes the form of the Doctor. But when he's there, he hears multiple voices. Now, Jonathan Morris, a very recent writer to the Doctor Who, we will tackle at least one of his books later on in the marathon. He actually had a theory with the revelation in The Timeless Children, in which the Doctor has had many previous incarnations prior to the first Doctor. He theorizes that the voices that we hear in this story, which I'd like to state as well, are both men and women, and as a child as well. We hear multiple voices. and he theorised that those voices were previous incarnations of the Doctor, or at least this particular Time Lord. So, I don't know. Again, I've stated my opinions on the Morbius Doctor and the pre-Hartnell Doctors in the Brain of Morbius. So if you're interested in hearing my opinion on that, go watch the Brain of Morbius video. But yeah, and the really creepy voice, in my opinion, is the child. The cliffhanger for part 3 is just so iconic as the Doctor gets overwhelmed by the computer, and it starts screaming, "Who am I? Who am I? Who am I?" And the Doctor's on the floor, collapses, thing. Maybe like the computer's doing like something to his mind, and then all of a sudden, it just goes really quiet, and you hear a child going, "Who am I? Who am I? Who am I?" The camera then cuts to the God computer with Tom Baker's face, with the child's voice going, "Who am I?" And then that's our cliffhanger. There's just something I really like about it. Something really iconic about it. If there's one thing the story does fall flat on, it's part 4. Building up into the Tesh city, we get a few scenes in which Leela has some action scenes in the city, and I'm afraid that Pennant Roberts is directing really lets him down at this part. Some bits, it's quite clear from the directing that Leela doesn't even look at when she's firing. People just stand out. She just so happens to just shoot behind her, and well, not behind her, but she looks away. And despite the Tesh having multiple soldiers, and the way the set's designed, there's an easy way that they could have overpowered her, especially with the fact that they're telepathic as well. So I guess it's a script problem as well. But mainly I think the direction leaves the action scenes with the Tesh to be desired. They're very weak and stuff, which is a shame because there are some pretty great action scenes in this story, in particular in I believe it's part 2, in which the Doctor's basically being sacrificed, and the Doctor has to shoot a string, otherwise the trapdoor underneath him will collapse and he will fall into a pit of bugs. And Leela, not thinking that he could do it because she knows that he's not a god, he's just a normal person, tries to save him, and there's a great action scene there. But the action scenes in the Tesh, throughout the Tesh city, even when the Savages do come into the city and there's a little action scene, it does fall flat. It's also, again, irritating to note that this is, again, another story in which the companion, now Leela, gets hypnotized. It happens once when the Doctor is in a room with her, and she starts calling out like she's got to protect the god and kill the evil one, and that it's just literally just like one scene, but it's very irritating. And what really doesn't help it is that it happens again in the same story, in the same episode. Leela gets hypnotized again after the Doctor plans to basically reboot the machine without his brain implant, and in basically a last effort, he sends both the Tesh and the 17, who he's mind controlled all of them, to kill the Doctor. And so Leela's about to kill the Doctor, and the Doctor turns around before she could stab him and breaks one of the machines. And yeah, very irritating. I guess it's not too bad if you just watch this story on its own. like, it is still pretty fun to see a villain overpower our hero so easily, especially with Leela being such a independent character from this up to this point. But to have a villain hypnotize our companion yet again is getting a bit repetitive now. And the Doctor finally uses a brain machine, and last moment is that all of the people are basically around him, and there's also a bomb that will destroy him, the god, the people, and the entire half the planet, I believe he says, which puts like a clicking clock to the end. And the Doctor then fixes the computer. There you go. And when the Doctor wakes up 2 days after, he talks to the computer and he's completely fine. And I like, and he gets along with each other, and he makes a chair. He makes a chair for the Doctor, and he sits down and he picks up like a little box, and you see him eating like a sweet from it. I could be wrong, but from memory, that box reappears. I'm sure that I've seen that box before. And so if that's the case, that's where the Doctor's got it from. He's got it from the imagination of this machine. And the humans then, now out of the control of the god computer, they start squirreling like who should be the leader, how should they organise peace with each other. And the Doctor's like, it's not my problem. But before that, he offers them a button that will destroy the god if they wanted to, but none of them take it. So basically implying that there is trust there. And so the Doctor leaves, and so does Leela, and Leela asks to join the Doctor, and the Doctor's like, I can't. Leela says, take me with you because you like me, and the Doctor's like, yes, I do like you, but I like a lot of people, and I can't take everybody around the universe with me. Goodbye. And before the Doctor even enters the TARDIS, Leela runs past him into the blue police box, and just before the TARDIS dematerializes, the Doctor's like, don't touch that! No! Ended on a very funny cliffhanger. So that's The Face of Evil. Overall, I think it's a really great story. A lot of people like it, but they don't love it. Mainly the scenes in the Tesh City are what people don't like about this story. But I do think there is some great moments there. The villain is just phenomenal. I really like the build up to it. I really like our human characters, or at least I like the savages. The Tesh were a bit dull, and their costumes were really silly and very pedantic. But it introduces my favourite companion, Leela, and this is the start of a whole new era, a whole new friendship for the Doctor. So join me next time, where we will be going to one of the most iconic Doctor Who stories. Some even consider it the best Fourth Doctor adventure, just under Genesis of the Daleks. So join me next time for The Robots of Death. See you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon. Ta-ra.